pressures as well. Now, we've seen a reminder of the global uncertainty in the World Bank figures, which show that global growth is slowing considerably and the risks are tilted to the downside. And in the national accounts figures today as well, of course. The rise in interest rates is clearly biting. We see that in the numbers because households are pulling back on spending, they're saving less and they're paying more in interest. Household consumption eased for the third quarter in a row. It grew by just 0.2% in the quarter, and that's because households pulled back on discretionary spending to make room for the essentials in their household budget. The saving ratio fell to 3.7%, and that's the lowest since 2008. Mortgage interest expenses have doubled over the course of the last year, and dwelling investment and activity in the housing market declined in the quarter as well. And those are all of the indicators which show the impact of higher interest rates, as well as these cost of living pressures more broadly, squeezing household budgets and weighing on economic growth in the economy more broadly. And with so many Australians under the pump, one of the pleasing aspects of these numbers is that household incomes grew solidly in the quarter at the same time as price pressures in the economy were moderating. If you look at the wages and salaries number, it rose by 2.4% in the quarter and 10.8% over the year. And that's because more Australians are in jobs and earning more. This is the fastest growth since the June quarter of 2007. Disposable incomes also rose, which helped to offset some of the pressure on household budgets, which are still nonetheless considerable. The data also confirms a view that we've had for some time, which is inflation is moderating from its peak. Not as fast as we would like, and it will hang around for higher than we'd like, for longer than we'd like, but there is more evidence in this data today that inflation is moderating from its peak of around Christmas time. The National Accounts measure of consumer prices rose by 6.5% over the year to March. That's down from 6.9% over the year to December. Obviously, we want these price pressures to moderate quicker than that, but we are seeing more evidence in these numbers that prices are moderating since their peak at the end of last year. We're also seeing some really welcome signs that business investment is picking up as the impacts of global supply shocks recede as well. New business investment grew 2.9% in the quarter. That's partly a consequence of the easing of some of these supply chain pressures, which have meant that more businesses have been able to get more capital in place in their businesses. We also saw some significant activity in renewable and electricity projects on the East Coast, something that we support and we welcome. And while we've seen commodity prices come off a little bit, we are still getting really good prices for the things that we sell the rest of the world. You can see that in the numbers. So we knew that this was going to be a difficult year given the challenges coming at us from abroad and here at home as well. And today's result really confirms those two things, that people are under pressure and the global economic conditions are not helping either. This is why it's so important that the budget a month ago put such a premium on what is responsible, helping to take some of the edge off these cost of living pressures without adding to inflation, at the same time as we invested in productivity and laid the foundation for future growth, and at the same time as we showed a considerable spending restraint, forecasting a surplus for the first time in 15 years, improving the budget the most when the price pressures are the most acute. These are all parts of our strategy, and this is why the Reserve Bank Governor has made it abundantly clear last week before the rate rise, today after the rate rise, that the budget is not adding to inflation, and particularly next year it's reducing inflation. This is a really important factor when we consider the causes of this rate rise yesterday. Rates went up yesterday, not because of the budget, not because people on the minimum wage are getting paid too much, but because these inflationary pressures in our economy are more persistent than we would like. We see that again in the national accounts figures and in all of the ways, particularly that households are responding to the price pressures that they are under. Now, before I take your questions, I wanted to briefly touch on the announcements we made today about the payment system and also give you a sense of a trip to New Zealand that I'll be taking tonight for the next couple of days. So first of all, when it comes to the payment system, our objective when it comes to payments is to modernise our payment system so that it can be part of a more productive, more innovative, more competitive economy. We want our payments to be safe and accessible. We want them to be efficient, and we want to make sure that they are keeping up with developments in technology. The announcements that I made today when it comes to payments are more than catching up or patching up a system and regulations which have become out of date. It's about recognising the absolutely central opportunity of a more modern payment system in a more modern, productive, competitive and innovative economy as well. That's why we have released today a substantial reform agenda when it comes to modernising our payments so that they can be part of a more modern economy as well, central to our plans for growth in the economy. Lastly, tonight I'll be leaving for Wellington for 2 days across Wellington and Auckland. I'll be meeting with my wonderful counterpart, the New Zealand Finance Minister Grant Robertson. A big focus of the meetings will be climate change, and for part of the engagements I'll be there with Chris Bowen and his counterpart. I'll be meeting with the Central Bank of New Zealand, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. I'll be meeting with economists and experts, Chamber of Commerce, and giving a speech in Auckland as well. This is a really important opportunity to make sure that the next 40 years of closer economic relations are even more productive than the first 40 years that we mark and celebrate today. I'm looking forward to engaging with Kiwi counterparts across the ditch. It's an important way of making sure that our economic objectives are aligned in the interests of the people of New Zealand and the people of Australia simultaneously. Over to you.
Treasurer, that you say these numbers this morning show that the interest rate rises are starting to bite. Given that those numbers are not a surprise, was it therefore, in your view, a mistake for the RBA to increase rates?
Well, obviously, as the Treasurer, I don't preempt and I don't second guess decisions taken independently by the Reserve Bank and its board. The Reserve Bank's got a job to do and I've got a different job to do, and you'll see in the budget how I'm going about that job. The point that I made yesterday and the point that I'm happy to make again today is when Australians are under the pump, I think many people will find it difficult to understand and difficult to cop the decision that was taken independently yesterday. And as we saw today, the Governor has opportunities as he took today, and that's a good thing, to explain and defend the decisions that the board takes independently. So that's important. I also wanted to make clear yesterday, and I want to make clear again today, that ordinary working people in this country are already bearing the brunt of these rate rises. They shouldn't also bear the blame for them. And I was pleased to see, frankly, the Reserve Bank Governor acknowledge today that the important increase to the minimum wage is not what is pushing up interest rates in his estimation, nor is it in my estimation. Yeah, we don't have an inflation problem in our economy because people on the minimum wage are getting paid too much. I think that's important as well. And I think it's self-evident, frankly, that another interest rate rise yesterday will make life harder for people who are already under the pump. Beyond that, I cherish and respect the independence of the Reserve Bank, not just in my words but in my deeds. The reforms to the Reserve Bank that I want to put through the Parliament are actually about making the Reserve Bank more independent, not less. Because I think it's an important feature of our system. That's why I don't preempt or second-guess decisions that they take. The points that I'm making about the decision taken yesterday, I think, are thoroughly uncontroversial.
How come we adhere to bring inflation back to 2 to 3% band by the end of 2025 as the ASA?
Well, inflation was the defining influence on the budget, and it's the primary focus of our economic plan in at least three ways. You know, the spending restraint that we showed in the budget would be unrecognisable to our predecessors. You know, banking 87% over two budgets of the upward revision to revenue, finding $40 billion in savings, and trying to keep spending to where it was, providing some cost of living relief without adding to inflation, and investing in productivity and growth into the future. And so a very responsible budget, I think, more responsible than any of the budgets handed down by our predecessors in the circumstances, is a demonstration of our bona fides when it comes to fighting inflation and addressing the inflation challenge in our economy. Now, this is why the Reserve Bank Governor said last week and again today that the budget's not adding to inflation, it's taking pressure off inflation, and that's been our objective.
Is it hurting too much though? Do you think that there could be some wiggle room in 2025 and the areas that you've got?
What do you mean by wiggle room?
Would you be supportive of them potentially extending that? Taking it to 2026 to bring inflation back?
Well, again, I don't second guess the decisions taken by the Reserve Bank. I mean, clearly, we have the same objective when it comes to getting on top of this inflation challenge as soon as we can. I think the Reserve Bank Governor acknowledged that as well. You know, we all want to see inflation moderate as quickly as it can, and we need to balance that against all of our other objectives at the same time. I mean, this inflation is more persistent than any of us would like. This inflation will hang around higher than we like for longer than we'd like. That's why fighting inflation was a central feature of the budget and the central feature of our economic plan more broadly.
Isn't it a bit, aren't you being a bit fancy with your words here? A bit tricky with your words.
Nobody's ever accused me of being fancy.
Tricky with your words. Whilst you're not offering any criticism yourself of the RBA yesterday, you're absolutely validating other people's criticism by saying many people find it difficult to cop, and you're saying the Reserve Bank needs to defend its decision. So aren't you implying that it was a mistake without saying it?
No, I think you're reading too much into that, and let me tell you why. I think it's self-evident that people are under the pump. You know, you walk down the main street of any of our cities, towns or suburbs or out in the bush and you understand that a lot of people are doing it tough, and we see that in the national accounts figures today as well. I think that's self-evident and therefore uncontroversial to point out that when interest rates go up, it makes life harder for people. I think that's a fact. When it comes to explaining the decisions that they take independently as a Reserve Bank board, I think that's a key feature of the system as well. I think it's a good thing, frankly, that Governor Lowe made himself available today for some public commentary about the decision that he took yesterday. And if you look at the Reserve Bank review, a big part of the conclusions of that review, which I support, is that the Reserve Bank and its governor and its board needs to do that so that people understand where they're coming from.
That's why we leave the Treasurer Jim Chalmers responding to today's GDP numbers showing the economy slowed over the first few months of the year as consumers pulled back on spending. That's ABC News for now. I'm Ros Charles. National Press Club is up next with Annika Wells, the Minister for Aged Care. Thanks for your company.
Today, at the National Press Club, Minister for Aged Care and Sport, Annika Wells, the youngest minister in the Albanese government, she'll discuss its ambition for aged care, outlining progress and recommendations of the Royal Commission into aged care quality and safety. Annika Wells with today's National Press Club address.
Hello and welcome to the National Press Club of Australia for today's Westpac address. My name is David Crowe. I'm the Chief Political Correspondent at the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, and a Director here at the club. Our guest today is Annika Wells, the Minister for Aged Care and the Minister for Sport in the Federal Government, and the person who's responsible for a sector that requires about $34 billion of annual federal spending at a time of, I think it's fair to say, great pressure on aged care across Australia. Wells entered Parliament in 2019 when she won the federal seat of Lilly in Brisbane, her hometown. Famously a target at that time for the Coalition in the 2019 campaign, and she won that seat by I think it's by a narrow margin, 50.66% of the vote. At the last election last year, she then went on to gain a 9.9% swing, not something you see every day, in her favour, and she now holds it by 60.5% of the vote. So there's a political achievement. She is joined here by her mother, Deb Wells, who I'd like to welcome to the club. Thank you for being here. And of course, the family story goes that Deb Wells wasn't at all surprised when Annika Wells decided to run for the seat of Lilly. They'd known ever since Annika was in year 3 at primary school and joined the Rostrum public speaking contest that politics was probably going to be her fate. It's a time when the aged care sector faces immense challenges. It actually is the first speech to the National Press Club by a Minister for Aged Care ever. I found that surprising, but we've checked the history, and I think that highlights the attention that is now on aged care and the importance that everybody understands around that sector. For those of you watching at home, you can join the conversation on Twitter. Our handle is @PressClubAust, and the hashtag is NPC. There's plenty to hear about from Annika Wells and plenty to ask her about. So please welcome her to the podium today.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you to the National Press Club for welcoming me to first address in this venerable setting. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people here with us today. Together we stand on the shoulders of 1,600 generations of First Nations people. And in my first speech to Parliament, almost 4 years ago, I dedicated my time here to being a good ancestor. And there is no greater contribution that any of us could hope to make than to care for, respect and value the generations that have come before us. It's difficult to reconcile that this is the first post-Royal Commission Aged Care address here at the National Press Club, when it is public policy that we will all experience in rolling incarnations throughout our lives. You may care for a loved one, a partner or a friend as they age. You may be the worker that provides care and dignity. Or you may be privileged enough to experience the quiet grace of aging. How our nation provides for the final years of a citizen's life is worthy not only of dedication and of dollars, but of ambition. It's a challenge laid down for me by Royal Commissioner Linnell Briggs, who told me in one of my earliest meetings that aged care was mired in crisis due to a lack of ambition. Due to a shrugging of the shoulders, a resigned sigh rather than a raised concern. And our government inherited a system that a Royal Commission characterised by a single word, neglect. A sector already at breaking point before the pandemic. A pandemic one provider called a daily war zone. The challenges we inherited were urgent and the system was flashing bright red. And for these past 12 months, I've felt the best we could do as a new government was to triage a crisis even worse than we feared. Today, I want to take you through what happened. And most importantly, I want to set out how measuring that progress to keep all of us accountable has brought aged care back from the brink. To set out how 12 months of urgent reform now gives us the capacity to face the future with ambition for aged care. And to set out how we plan to do that. We haven't come this far just to come this far. We seek to push forward where others pulled back. We embrace an era of unyielding honesty. Because many of your mothers, your fathers and loved ones are frightened about entering residential facilities. And that hurts. I don't want Australians to be scared about the care that they will be provided in later life. And right now, Many are. I don't want daughters and sons worried about the treatment that their parents will receive. And right now, many are. And like so many things neglected for so long, this will take time to deliver a system of care that we all deserve. The Royal Commission report described a point in time and urgent measures needed. And it set out a path for us to follow to repair a system in absolute crisis. And it laid out many aspects of reform that we have set in motion. It provided a strong foundation for what, in the end, took a new government elected with a mandate to end the neglect. So to remain focused on the future, I will not provide you with a full history of the aged care system. But where we are going does need some context, so I want to share two key features. The then Howard government introduced the current Aged Care Act in 1997. To take a trick from my friend and erudite senior colleague Mark Butler, here's a gentle reminder that 1997 was the year that crowds lined up outside theatres to see Jack and Rose fight to survive amongst the Titanic's wreckage. And the most popular TV shows in 1997 were Friends and ER and Seinfeld, now all considered retro. Double Denim was cool. Times have changed, but we really are clinging on to some things from the 90s. And the Aged Care Act then, which is what it remains now, is focused on how providers run services. The legislation sets out the providers' obligations and responsibilities. And while critically important, this focus lost sight of the rights of older people. The Royal Commission describes a need for a clear statement that the care provided to residents is safe and of high quality. And this should be at the centre of everything that we do. And the Commission's report found more than 30% of aged care residents had experienced substandard care. Found Australia's aged care workforce understaffed, underpaid and undertrained. And the Commission's report described the sector's management like this. Those who run the aged care sector system do not seem to know about the nature and extent of substandard care and have made limited attempts to find out. I have sought to find out. I spent the first year going to every jurisdiction to understand the different models of care, needs of people in different locations, and the hopes and desires of older Australians in our system. I wanted to understand their ambition. And the final piece of this short history lesson is that successive governments have invested significant resources into the system. So it was beyond regrettable coming into this role, my first ministerial role, to discover that despite the legislation being geared towards the obligations of providers, that in 2017, $2.5 billion was cut from the sector. And this saw the financial performance of aged care providers nosedive. Accountancy firm Stuart Brown noted that in 2017, homes had an average positive operating result of almost $10 per bed per day. Yet, by 2020, it was a loss of more than $8 per bed per day. Those cuts meant providers had less money to spend on care. Those cuts put pressure on staffing levels. Those cuts put pressure on quality. Those cuts put pressure on safety. So in just over a year, we have addressed 69 recommendations, almost half of the 148 listed. We inherited a system on the brink. And at the cusp of another COVID winter, which meant the only approach was an urgent one. And with the Royal Commission as an ever-guiding present light to act, and a burning need for urgency, we have embarked on more than 100 reform projects in the first 12 months. We have extended the Serious Incident Response Scheme to in-home care to make all care recipients safer. We've introduced 6 new quality indicators for residential aged care services to drive quality improvements. Worked with Minister Giles to create aged care labour agreements. worked with Minister O'Connor on fee-free TAFE places and pathways, and worked with Minister O'Neill, a great friend who worked hard to bring aged care to such focus in the last term of Parliament to keep student visas for aged care. And that is just five of more than 100 reforms we are currently progressing. And some of our proudest achievements include star ratings, care minutes increases, the wages increase to work is funded as part of a $36 billion budget, and legislating having a registered nurse on site 24/7. And on some of these measures, we are flying, lifting a standard quicker than we could have hoped. And on some of these measures, we fall short. We learn the lessons and we try again. There is no doubt in my mind that every day I draw heat for striving for a higher standard is a day in office better spent than one at the margins, merely content to be avoiding scrutiny or neglect. For the first time in a decade, workers, residents, stakeholders have a reason to feel optimistic. The first aged care quarterly financial snapshot illustrates a major shift in financial performance. The first snapshot was based on the period 1 July 2022 to 30 September 2022. And that's important because it gives us a baseline before a number of the reforms, including the start of the new AN-ACC funding model, were introduced. And as you all know, it showed a residential aged care sector under huge strain, with 66% of providers making a loss. The second quarterly financial snapshot, which goes from October to December last year, is being published right now online. You can access it on the Department's website. The second snapshot provides the first insight under the new AN-ACC funding model that we introduced on 1 October 2022. And this latest snapshot reveals that by the end of December 2022, the first quarter of our reforms at work, the number of providers making a loss reduced from 66% to 54%. So our reforms are making a tangible difference to providers. And the latest data shows residential aged care providers delivered an improved average of 189 minutes of care per resident per day, moving closer towards the sector average of 200 care minutes, which becomes mandatory from 1 October 2023. We expect the next quarterly financial report for the period of January to March 2023 to continue the upwards viability trend. While from 1 July this year, residential aged care pricing will no longer be based on an outdated indexation factor that did not recognise actual costs. The former government increased funding for providers by just 1.7% in their last budget. And then spent the last 12 months watching that impact and discovering freshly awoken concern about the financial viability of the sector. We put in place independent expert advice, and then we followed it. This budget, our Labor budget, increases AN-ACC funding for providers by 17%, a tenfold increase. And we can also see strong improvement through the star ratings reforms we launched in December. Every quarter, star ratings provides an opportunity for homes to demonstrate improvements, and the first quarterly update shows the system is working. The freshly updated quarterly ratings reveal an extra 41 services lifted their standards to receive 4 or 5 stars. And crucially, safety and quality are improving. The number of services receiving just 1 or 2 stars has already reduced by more than a third in just these 5 months we have been tracking. Our ambition is working. Measuring is working. Keeping ourselves all accountable is working. And this, for the first time, allows us all to be optimistic for the sector and the increased care that residents are receiving. Now we must also seek, always seek, to deliver better care And the recent tragedy in Cooma has reinforced the need to greater understand and support people with dementia. Dementia care needs to be core business in aged care. Over half of aged care residents, 54%, have dementia. And over two-thirds of aged care residents have some form of cognitive impairment. And this is why we are introducing new aged care quality standards as recommended by the Royal Commission. Outcome 2.9.6 under the second standard requires an aged care provider to ensure all workers are regularly trained in relation to core matters such as caring for people living with dementia. We are also drafting Australia's new 10-year National Dementia Action Plan. The plan will provide a nationally coordinated approach to improve outcomes for people living with dementia, their families and carers across all stages from prevention to care. It has been a difficult time to have a loved one in aged care, and that further demonstrates the pressing need for structural reform. Furthers the need to make the aged care equitable, sustainable and trusted as a system. That requires vision and clarity. This is our reform roadmap. You don't need to try and take notes. This will be published on the department's website. This reform roadmap provides our high-level plan to help everyone in this room understand and communicate the positive actions underway. You have been calling for it. I have listened. We have delivered. Our plan places older people at the heart of all we do. We are seeking to introduce the new Aged Care Act in 2024. That will deliver on 24 Royal Commission recommendations. That timing is intentional, as we want to be able to phase in anything that may come from the Aged Care Task Force. The new Support at Home program will then commence from 1 July 2025, delivering a further 21 Royal Commission recommendations. With good reason, replacing aged care legislation was the very first recommendation of the Royal Commission. And as I mentioned earlier, the 1997 Aged Care Act was put in place with the primary purpose of funding aged care providers. Our new Act is going to put older people and the services that they need front and centre. The 1997 Howard-era Act relies on the corporation's power. Our new Act will be underpinned by the relevant international conventions. And this shift to a rights basis is significant. The cornerstone of the new Act is going to be a statement of rights that need to be heard and observed. An approach overdue in this sector. But still with that record of urgent action and investment, with all the hours of painstaking work, with all that we have achieved, I am still saying we have not been able to lift out of triage and prepare for an ambitious future for aged care. But that changes today. Being ambitious means being clear-eyed, not just about the scale of the crisis we inherited, but the challenges ahead. We must act now. The baby boomers are coming. Within a decade, our nation will have, for the first time in history, more people aged over 65 than under 18. And our workforce will be ageing, with people aged from 15 to 64 years predicted to decline as a proportion of total population. We have already heard the next generation of people entering aged care are going to want a different model and standard of care than those before them. There will be greater pressures on the entire community. And we must be innovative to address this challenge. And we need a funding model that is sustainable. We are going to need a fair and equitable system to meet the needs of baby boomers who, with their numbers and their determination to solve problems, have shapen every single system they have ever come across. They rightfully believe aged care can offer much more than it has. And we know that those people choosing residential care is trending down, as the desire to stay and age at home trends upwards. It's why we must reevaluate the funding going into a system asking for more funding. The Royal Commission heard from 641 witnesses across 2 years. But the Commission's great unanswered question at the final report remains how to make aged care equitable and sustainable into the future. The Commissioners couldn't agree on a prescriptive pathway forward. We need to agree on this now. We have heard calls from across the sector to review this funding arrangement and to take a new approach. We're doing this in an open and transparent way. And we will do this in conversation with the public with the discussions driven by experts. Today I am releasing the terms of reference and announcing the membership of the Aged Care Task Force. I will chair this task force that has yet another ambitious task, reporting by the end of the year and advising the Albanese government on options. We must modernise a Byzantine system to be future-facing. The task force members have expertise in economics, finance, public policy, ageing and aged care, First Nations and consumer advocacy and provider advocacy. And there is a strong focus on the consumer voice. And given this work is intended to support future generations as they move into aged care, the membership also includes a young economist with a strong interest in intergenerational issues and inequality. I want to publicly welcome the following members, some of whom are in the audience today and will be familiar to many of you that will be joining me on this ambitious journey. Nigel Ray, PSM, will be my Deputy Chair. Rosemary Huxtable, PSM, is with us. Professor Tom Calmer, AO, who is with us. Pat Sparrow, who is with us. Margaret Walsh, OAM. Tom Simonson, who is with us. John Watkins, AO. Mary Patterson, Mike Baird, Grant Corduroy, John McCallum, Janine Walker, and Think Forward's lead economist, Thomas Walker. The task force will also include strong union representation to ensure the views of workers are heard. We have listened to the sector, the workers and the people about what care they want and how this could be achieved. And we are not taking a patch and paint approach to this process. We have heard directly from workers their ideas to make lives easier with different models of care. We have heard from providers that current arrangements can stifle innovation. We need co-design, support at home, and policy settings to be that allow innovative models to be viable investments. This is about the government investing in the care that older Australians actually want and they want to be at home. This is about delivering a needs-based arrangement that makes financial sense. The task force will help our seismic shifts from provider-focused to person-focused and from funding-focused to care-focused. This new piece of work is the next chapter after 12 months of triaging an absolute crisis. This new piece of work is only possible now. The results tell us that what we are doing is working. This new piece of work forms part of our capacity to face the future with ambition for aged care. In my first 12 months, I visited 35 aged care facilities across Australia. From Perth to Palmerston, from the Territory to Tasmania, I met hundreds of residents, I met hundreds of staff. I heard great stories of care done well. I heard of the gaps, the struggles and the efforts unrewarded. And too many of them were the same stories that I heard on the wings, pushing the tray trolleys almost 20 years ago. I've talked you through a lot of policy settings today, but I wanted to finish with why this is so important to me. I wish I could have told a 19-year-old Annika scraping dishes in that nursing home kitchen on the weekend that one day she would come here as a minister to make an address about aged care reform. And I'm rueful that I did not have to look those residents like Peg and Dot in the eyes, knowing that it would be another 19 years before the standards in aged care would begin to lift in the way that they deserved then. And I wish I could tell all the women that I've worked with, like Mia and Sharon, that their stories would eventually become my talisman through 12 months of triaging a crisis. One of those women I was able to bring here with me today. My mum, Deb, who worked in aged care for 15 years before she retired, a few with me alongside her. There were good days, there were awful days. And every day, Mum reminds me, they were short of staff. That's right. Nearly 20 years ago, when Mum was doing the rosters in the nursing home, workforce shortages were the biggest issue. And today, I think we can all join Mum in our frustration that workforce shortages are the biggest issue. This has always been a complex and slow-moving area of public policy. But Mum, her co-workers and her residents never had a Prime Minister and a government that brought ambition for aged care. Ambition decades in the making and in the waiting. Ambition born of necessity. The aged care crisis we inherited truly required a year of urgent triage. And 12 months on, we are tracking tangible, substantial progress. We are bringing aged care back from the brink, and it's about damn time. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Minister, for that address. We've got a table full of journalists with plenty of questions to come, but I thought I would kick off with the picture that you're painting here of the new Act coming in with the rights-based authority to set standards and so forth. You've also referred to, I guess, the pressure on the system and the baby boomers. Now, some people watching this at home might think that this is a signal that says the new law will come into place in order to deal with the influx of more people in aged care. We're going to have to rethink how it's funded, and that may mean that householders are going to have to carry more of the financial cost when they get ready for aged care. What's your message to people watching at home who will be thinking, okay, does this mean that I need to save more for aged care and fund more of my own aged care?
Thank you, David. I think my message to those people would be that my guiding principle in coming to chair this task force is that what we want for Australians about to enter the system is better care and better clarity. It is a Byzantine system. People tell me they find it almost impenetrable to navigate. People are now paying consultants fees of thousands of dollars to help them navigate the system. What we want to do is look at that system and answer a couple of questions. You know, the recommendations of the Royal Commission, those proposals, but also just from the sector, how do we get more money into a system crying out for more money? So there are a lot of proposals out there, and the idea of the task force is that we will stand up, we'll meet within the next month, and we'll meet monthly until October, where we'll hand down our interim report, and in December we'll hand the final report to the government for consideration. And that will hopefully deal with this quite quickly, you know, minimise any kind of concern. We're going to be open and transparent about it, and then government can make decisions off those recommendations for next year's budget process.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Sarah Ison.
Sarah Ison from the Australian. Just on those figures you mentioned about those improved figures from that, 66% to 54% running at a loss. There is the point being made that those improved figures are bolstered by the new government funding that has flowed through from October, and the mandate to have that staffing mandate isn't until next October. So do you expect those losses to keep going down, given that when that mandate comes in, it might nullify that? Do you have any concerns?
No, because come 1 July, the IHACPA rate goes up to 17%. So there's more money flowing through the system. Like the point I made, that the indexation rate under the last budget of the Morrison government, they gave the sector 1.7% to address rising costs. We are giving the sector 17% on 1 July to address rising costs. So there's a lot more money flowing into the system, and all of that has been factored and considered by IHACPA. And I think the sector, I dare say, would agree when I suggest that they have a long time waited for this to be decided by an independent body and not by the whims and political priorities of the government of the day. So we set up the independent authority, we've taken their advice, and that means come 1 July, 17% indexation
Are you concerned about the number of facilities closing? We did see a figure before a couple of weeks ago about 23 having closed.
Look, I think closures have come under scrutiny in recent weeks. The fact of the matter is that we've had 76 facilities closed in the past 2 years, 40 under the last year of the Morrison government, and 36 under our first year in government. I would suggest that the 40 that closed under the last year of the Morrison government were not closing because they had a crystal ball and could foresee the reforms that the Albanese government have brought in. It is a fact that this has always been a dynamic environment where facilities open and close depending on the needs of the market. And of the 76 that have closed in the past 2 years, I think it's 50 of them that have closed because the facilities no longer meet the needs of the residents. You know, this is in some cases, I think about 65% of cases, but in some cases, this is a consolidation exercise where a company might have, say, 9 facilities and they close 2 or 3 down to 6 or 7 facilities because their oldest facilities are those cinder block, 4-bed wards that no one wants to live in anymore. And that's fair enough. So for us to move forward and lift the standard of care, what we need is policy settings that give courage and confidence to people that want to invest. And I think there are green shoots about that.
Thank you.
Next question is from Phil Curry.
Thanks, Corey. Hi, Minister. Phil Curry from the AFR. Can I ask you a double banger, which is related? You've outlined just in previous answers a fairly short time to come up with a solution, if you like, December. Given the Royal Commission spent a lot longer than that and couldn't come to an agreed position, are you confident, or how confident are you of getting consensus out of your task force? And second to that, the Royal Commission, one Commissioner, Mr Pagoni, he proposed an income tax increase or a Medicare increase, either of which would be hypothecated towards aged care. Ms Briggs, who you referred to earlier, she suggested just a levy, but not hypothecated. She said that would amount to a tax on frailty, I think were her words. Are either of those tax options or any other tax option in your thinking, or does it want to be more structural than that? You're looking towards going towards means testing, rather than just raising more revenue, or could it be a combination of both?
To the first part of your question, I'm not worried about it. I think we need to do this quickly because it informs so much else of what we're doing. I talked about the new Act, talked about the new support at home regime. It is likely that both of those things, which are huge pieces of work, you know, a new Act comes along once every 30 years, need to be informed by the recommendations of the task force. I think that, like you say, the Commission operated across 2 years' worth of witnesses. I think it was 641 witnesses. These are things that have long been called for by the sector. There are existing proposals, there are existing, there was 22 reports into aged care and how to fund and fix aged care before the Royal Commission came along. Like, the evidence is there. What was missing was any kind of political will to actually sort it out. So that's what you have now. You've got the task force that we will stand up within the month, meet monthly, have an interim report to government by October, and have a final report by December. And that will keep this reform process chugging along, because as much as that might seem quick to some, I know many people in this room have worked in the aged care sector, have been waiting for this for decades, and they can't see it come fast enough.
Just views on the tax.
I think I'm bringing as the chair an open mind to the task force and deliberations of the task force. I would have thought that recommendations from the 2 commissioners would be something for the task force to consider. I think we should keep as many options open, and the task force should work through them.
Thank you.
Because you're the chair of the task force, will it be your role to really sum up the consensus of that group? I mean, unless they're going to, as members of the task force, have a voting system to decide in terms of what the recommendations are. But you said it's your role to sum up that consensus, so you'll have a big say in what the outcome will be.
Well, we will, as a task force, and I know Nigel Ray will be my deputy chair, provide a final report of recommendations to government. Ultimately, this will be a decision of government. It is for hopefully the task force to provide what I'm hoping we'll be able to provide is a clear set of recommendations for government to adopt.
Okay. Next question is from Claire Armstrong.
Claire.
Thanks, Minister. Claire Armstrong from News Corp. You mentioned at the end of your speech that this is a government that's ambitious about aged care. But you yourself have conceded that the July 1 deadline for 24/7 nursing in aged care homes is not going to be met by everyone. There was a report by UTS last week that estimated only about 9.8% of the residential homes they surveyed would have enough staff to meet the 3 incoming standards. They estimated about 12.5 extra full-time equivalent staff are basically needed between now and October. Obviously, ambition is a good thing, but it looks like the government and the facilities is not going to meet that ambitious target that you've set for staffing. So when do you expect the majority of aged care homes to have those staff, and where will they come from?
Yeah, and I think, like I said in my speech, I'm happy to wear heat every single day for trying really hard to a higher standard for aged care than to be someone who skirts around aged and disability support worker roles this year. That speaks to more people listening to what we're saying, trusting us that we're trying to lift the standard and coming to the sector. That alongside something like labour agreements being a tripartite agreement between government, business and unions would never have been done under the former government. And the very first one over in Perth has secured an extra 559 workers just for one facility. And I know Minister Giles has people queuing out the door to try and get labour agreements secured for their patch. So I think that it's going to take a while. I've said it's going to take a while for this to wash through the system. I accept that we're thousands short, but I'm just going to keep my shoulder to the wheel and keep pulling all the levers until we get there. This isn't a 1 July overrun. The boat doesn't leave the harbour on 1 July and that's it, and everyone left on the pontoon is done for. I'll keep trying on the 2nd of July and every day after that until we get it done.
I guess my question is more though, do you have a sense, a timeline of when? Because obviously there are elderly people who would like to have that care and as much as they might appreciate the ambition, would also like a more realistic timeline.
The timeline is as soon as possible. We know that the vast majority of facilities are going to make it by 1 July. So we are actively, we've got the department calling facilities who we identified might be at risk of not meeting it to work through with them how we do it. We'll just keep doing that until we get there.
Next question is from Josh Butler.
Hi, Minister. Josh Butler from The Guardian. You mentioned the tragedy in Cooma. Now, obviously mindful of ongoing investigations in this case, but at a recent Senate estimates hearing, the Age Discrimination Commissioner raised some concerns about that, whether police should be the fallback option or the fallback response when these sort of incidents do occur. Could I ask you, in a very general sense, what would you say to that? Should police be one of the first responders when there are cases like this? You talked about new, I guess, responses to dementia, people with dementia and aged care. And I guess more broadly, what update, if any, can you give on the aged care regulator's investigation into this matter?
Sure. Well, firstly, let's acknowledge the Aged Care Commissioner who is here with us. That is Jane's investigation that's on foot. She keeps me up to date with it as much as is appropriate, and I can't speak before it wraps up. Like I said in my speech, in terms of what I can control, I'm looking at everything that I can control, that we've got a quality standard that means all workers will need to be trained in what should be the core business of aged care. I consider working with people with dementia core business of aged care. We've got the opportunity for the National Dementia Action Strategy and Action Plan that we are developing this year to fold in whatever sort of learnings and agreements can be done out of an awful thing that happened. I think it also falls for to work with our state counterparts about what can be done. But as I said in my speech, 54% of people in aged care have dementia. This is something that we need to be a lot more proactive about. And I think that training all workers who interact with people with dementia, I'm sure that Marie McCabe would be, wherever she is, would agree with me, is a good place to start.
Thank you. Next question is from Chantal Al-Khoury.
Of what you want to do.
It's not that I don't have ideas, it's that I don't want to preempt the task force. I'm not here to announce the outcomes of the task force today. I'm here to announce the terms of reference for the task force today. And we'll get going and we'll be open and transparent about it.
And just in terms of the standard that you hold for yourself in this area, as you mentioned, there are people in age. Yes. And you're saying that more boomers are going to be entering into this system. What's the benchmark that you're holding for yourself in that area with these findings?
I want to lift the standard of care in this country, and I want to do it in a way that is tangible for people. I still do. I've done 26 mobile offices in my electorate of Lilly this year as the aged care minister, and even though it's a local mobile office, I go suburb by suburb. 3/4 of the people that come to talk to me about aged care. So I have the benefit of getting to do this work at the highest levels of government, and then on a Saturday morning here outside the IGA, whether anyone feels like it's seeping through. And that's the measure that I hold myself accountable to, what the people of Lilly say to me.
Just to follow up on that, at a base level in the discussion, do we have to accept that the federal government just simply doesn't have the resources to do all the funding, and there have to be other mechanisms? Now, clearly, there's an open debate about whether a levy is another mechanism, but is it right for us to take out of this address today that the federal government can't do all the spending and other mechanisms must be found in order to fund the system?
I think, based on everything we know about what people have told us about where the system's fallen short for them to date and where baby boomers want the system to be, and if you look at innovative, excellent models of care around the world, you have to say that if we're not prepared to accept that cinder block, linoleum, 4-bedroom anymore, then we need to work out how we're going to pay for it. And plenty of people have said, I am prepared to pay for an innovative, excellent model of care. I just can't find it. So what we need, I think, from a federal perspective is, how can I write policy settings that give investment confidence to invest in these things? And if you look at some of the leading models, I'm thinking of Korongi down in Tasmania that had Hester invest. I've talked to them both about what was it that brought you two together, and what would you like from me to make that the case that kind of excellent facility is available to everybody across the country and not just a one-off.
Okay. Next question is from Bina Brown.
Hello. Brown. Are you surprised, I've got a bit of a double whammy too, are you surprised that there are so many consultants popping up to help navigate this system? That's the first one. And the second one is, you mentioned that the viability of some of the places that have closed is because they've no longer met residents' needs, yet most of those homes would have been accredited by the Aged Care Quality Commission. Mm-hmm. And so is the Aged Care Quality Aged Care Commission still the way to go going forward in accrediting these places? Are they doing their job properly?
Well, the first one, am I surprised by the rise of consultants in aged care? No, I find the system very difficult to navigate, and that's when I say I go to Zillmere and Sandgate, that's what people tell me. I have been taken back, well, it was my first few months, but the number of people I got calls from who said, I'm really sorry that I'm calling you as the minister, but I feel like my mum's fallen through the cracks, can you help me? And when we get into it, it's that they haven't even applied to the right place. The system is that difficult to enter, and that's just not a sustainable way of operating when we know that the trend is on and there are going to be more people who need some form of aged care than ever before. It's a Byzantine scheme, like I say that by design. So no, I'm not surprised by it, but I want to do something about it. And
this task force and the terms of reference of the task force, this is complex, difficult, politically difficult as well work that governments have shied away from for decades. And we are doing it. And we're going to do it quickly in a way that people will experience quickly. And I think that's a good thing. And what was the second part of your question? I forgot.
The Aged Care Quality Commission, are they doing their job if they're accrediting homes that are closing?
Oh, I mean, that stat that I rattled off earlier, 65% of aged care closures in the past 2 years were facilities that no longer cater to the needs of old people, that meet modern quality standards. So that's, I think, what I would say by way of modern quality standards is what kind of quality of life a person